Peggy feared she was destined to be a spinster. Now that she was 5 years away from 30, who would give her a second glance? Peggy had been told that sign-up for the camp would take place at Gavin's school, and that he'd be there accepting volunteers daily, from 3 to 4 in the afternoon. She pulled up in front of the school, a large wooden building, at 10 minutes to 4. She quickly jumped down from her buggy and hurried into the school. She asked a man who was standing in the foyer for directions to Gavin Mackenzie, and he told her it was the third door on the left. The door was open, and she spotted him sitting at a large desk in front of empty student benches. She swallowed hard and walked in. He looked up and smiled. "Hello. Peggy, isn't it?" She nodded. "I'm here to sign up for camp." "Excellent. What would you like to do this year?" he asked. "I'd like to teach the youngest ones. I hear Violet Croft won't be teaching this year, now that she has a little one herself." She noticed Gavin's smile fade when she mentioned Violet's name. This was more than awkward. "That's true, but we're also losing Miles Croft, our best chaperone and teacher. The children here in Selena are already asking for him," he said with a smile. "I liked Miles." He looked at Peggy with a sympathetic look. "I know you did too." Peggy simply ignored his comment. She hoped he couldn't see her hands shaking as she gripped her reticule. "So you'll notify me of meetings and such?" Gavin pulled a timepiece from his vest pocket and glanced at it. "Sit down a moment, Peggy," he said. He stood and walked to the door and closed it. Fear gripped Peggy. What was he going to do? She didn't sit, but stood in place, groping her reticule tighter, preparing herself to hit him with it and run if necessary. He surprised her by sitting behind his desk again. "Relax, Peggy, and sit down. I only want to talk to you." His voice softened and he added, "Please." Peggy sat gingerly on a student bench. "I think we need to talk about what happened last year. If we don't, we'll never be able to work together. Hear my side of the story, won't you?" Peggy loosened her hold on her reticule and tried to relax. "All right." "I thought I was madly in love with Violet." His face took on a faraway look when he said it, and then his eyes turned to her. "I'm over it. Finally. There was something about her that drove me to commit foolish acts. But have no fear. I'm not a danger to you or anyone else." Peggy could do nothing but nod. "The word obsession seems to fit what I had for Violet. Not love, but obsession. I've been seeing Reverend Croft for some time now, and he's made me see that I was never in love with Violet at all. Rather, I was obsessed with having her for my wife. I was being driven by retaliation and obsession, but never love. The obsession drove me to aggressive behavior in order to bend her to my will, to get my way, and have her accept my marriage proposal. I've learned since then so much about this condition. You have nothing to fear from me, thanks to Reverend Croft. I can't sing that man's praises enough. I love that man," he said. "So fear not. I'm a reborn Christian man, and I've a personal relationship with God. A real one this time. I had a weakness, but I never really lost my love for God, and he's helped me get back on track," he said. "So," he said, "do you think we'll have a problem working together?" She shook her head. "It's just going to be hard to forget, is all." "Peggy, have you ever done something you're ashamed of?" he asked. "More than once." Peggy smiled mischievously. "I'm ashamed, too, but I refuse to hide myself and let it stop me from my work with the children whom I love. Teaching and bringing children to God is what I live for. It's my passion. I'm using my energy in a different way now, and it's working," he said. "I no longer have the problem I was once cursed with. It's up to you, Peggy. I'm willing to take you on and work with you, but if you feel you can't forget, maybe you should find another way to serve the camp. You could do advertising or promoting, and never have to come into contact with me at all. Would you be more comfortable doing something like that?" Peggy considered her options. "No," she said a bit weakly, and then said with more confidence, "I can work with you." Gavin stood. "Good." He smiled at her and walked to the door. "I'll be in touch."